Canon 31, the Book of Enoch Henok, the Book of Remembrance, verses 579 to 991. Visions of Enoch.
This video features a translated version of the original text. Please be aware that the translation may contain inaccuracies, as it is one of the earlier versions of the Onfalon Morado. A more updated version includes additional context and clarification for many of the words used. For a deeper understanding of the content, it's strongly recommended to refer to the original German text and review each term individually. This will help ensure a clearer grasp of what is being conveyed.
And Henok wrote down what he had to teach, and also what were his visions. Therefore Henok wrote,
And I, Henok, see visions, and am taught by myself and by the Ishwish, and also by his helpers and wise ones. And I, Henok, praise creation during my life, and also at a time when I was not among you, mankind of earth, while I was with the Ishwish of the world, and also with his watchers. And the Ishwish called me and spoke,
Henok, you writer of righteousness, go to the people of earth, and make known to them the teaching of truth, and, therefore, do this in the new language which is now understood by mankind of earth. Go to mankind and bring to them the proclamation of truth, that they are all creatures of creation and arranged in all things into its laws and commandments. And go, therefore.
The Ishwish spoke unto me,
Henok, and proclaim that mankind of earth are descendants of earthly women and men, and of sons and daughters of the heavens, who, some time ago, were fallible and brought corruption. Make known the earlier occurrences, which you have proclaimed at earlier times, as in word, as also in writing. And announce the truth that mankind, against all warning, has newly lapsed into all evil offenses.
And the Ishwish spoke unto me,
Henok, as mankind of earth committeth evil offenses, they will have no peace on earth. The people of earth will find no forgiveness because of their offenses, and they also will not be allowed to enjoy their children. They will see the murder of their loved ones, and they will sigh about the downfall of their children. And so they will beg for mercy, yet no mercy nor peace will be imparted unto them, for despite their begging and supplication in anxiety and misery, they will remain unrighteous.
Thus the Ishwish spoke to me, and also the watchers spoke to me when I stayed with them, yet while they taught much else which they commissioned me to teach you. Therefore I, Henok, come to you human beings of earth, and say to you, you will have no peace, for due to your own guilt, you have brought a severe judgment upon yourself. You have ordained this judgment over yourself, that you are bound by yourself, so that no alleviation and intercession and mercy will be imparted to you because of your offenses and your violence. And violence you have acquired, but also all acts of slandering and unrighteousness up to murdering. And you continue to live in this manner, although you lie in fear and in terror, and know what will get hold of you. Therefore, do not beg me to write a petition for you, to bring it to the Ishwish of the world, that he may help you. For truly, I do not have the power to do such, that I simply could bring a begging and supplication petition to the Ishwish. But listen to what I have seen in a vision when I rested and slumbered. The vision showed to me the decay of the people of earth, their offenses and evils, the vices and everything bad in all things, as in the thinking and acting and striving and in the nourishment. I saw that the people of earth broke the commandment, which told them that they shall eat only what is edible for them, for the vision showed me how the people robbed the animals of their nourishment. Verily, through the laws and commandments of creation, and also through its order is given that mankind has its own nourishment. As also every animal has its own nourishment, so therefore each one according to its own kind. Therefore, to man is given as nourishment everything which he can eat raw or cooked, so that it does not harm his health, and also is in taste of that nature, that it is appetizing without the need to add changing ingredients to make the taste of the nourishment tolerable thereby. Everything is edible for human beings. Everything shall be allotted to him as nourishment and without concern, if the food is appetizing raw or cooked without adding ingredients for taste tolerance. But if nourishment is not appetizing and is not taste tolerable, because it is bitter or bland to a great extent, then it is not compatible with human beings, as it is with intense burning or with putrefaction. Therefore, what is not edible for human beings is the nourishment of the animals, that which is bitter or bland or burning or putrefied or any other way, and which consists of semblance fruit, semblance vegetables, and semblance herbs. However, given as nourishment for man are real fruits, vegetables, and herbs. Therefore, to the animals is given the food and everything edible, and also to man is given the nourishment and everything edible. But everything edible is also divided thus into the edible for the animals and into the edible for the human being. The edibles for man are different in their energy values, but the same is also valid for the edibles of animals. Yet a difference shall be set between man and animal, so that human beings only eat food assigned to them and do not rob the nourishment of the animals. Even if the food of animals may be palatable to him if it is falsified with added ingredients and made palatable to his taste. Thus man may not falsify his own edibles with false ingredients. As it were, that fruit is not mixed with vegetables or with fish or meat, or as it were, that no sweet is stirred into the edibles which are not compatible with sweet. Also man shall be moderate in his eating and drinking, so that he doth not submit himself to gluttony and overeating. But just the same, if this is still done, this then is equal to the falsification of edibles. Therefore, both issues fall into the category of imprudence and weakness, and also of weak-mindedness and stupidity, because both lead to sickness and evils in the body and in thinking and feeling. Likewise, because man robs and eats edibles of the animals, is the reason that many people suffer from manifold diseases, and from weak and slow thinking, and from all types of weaknesses. If man transgresseth against the laws and commandments, and against the order of creation, he createth self-punishment for himself, which also resulteth from these things, which I have seen in this vision during sleep, which was given unto me through the wise thoughts and the power of the Ishvish. And I also saw many other things in this vision, and each thing was less joy than the other, for all things were impressed with the suffering of man of earth, which he created through his absurdity and offense and unrighteousness. But that which followeth here written down is the word of justice, and the reprimanding of the people of earth by the Ishvish, whom I saw in this vision. And in my sleep I saw what I will now tell with my writing, and with the tongue of my flesh, and with my breath, which creation hath placed into the mouth of every human being, so that he shall speak therewith and understand with his intellect. And man shall understand in the manner as creation has created him and endowed him with intellect. Thus he shall understand the word of insight. Creation has also created me, and by the power of the Ishwish and my own, it is granted me to work as prophet among you human beings of earth, and to instruct you and to impart advice to you and also to scold you. You know me well, and I know you, and I know your supplication for mercy. But I say unto you that in my vision also appeared, that your supplication, namely, cannot be granted by the Ishwish into all eternity. For the power is not his to fulfill your supplication of mercy, because all this lies in your power alone. Thus, as you actest and livest will also be your life. Therefore will your petition for mercy also lie in your power and in your determination. For as you change and become righteous ones, you then will fulfill your petition for mercy yourself and will be freed from all evils. In all things you are master over yourself. Therefore you have to help yourself, but that you dost not do. For you believe in a human being whom you call God, and who allowed himself to be attributed to have created the world and all life and space and the stars. Yet not at all has he done such, for such work is only possible to creation. But as you erroneously believe that a God is the highest to you, then you thinkest and believest in error. But if truthfully you thinkest and knowest that creation truthfully alone is the highest, then you knowest about the spirit of creation, which also enliveneth you and resideth within you, and as you therefore help yourself, then creation helpeth you. But many of you do not want to be instructed. Wherefore you only laboriously climb up to being of eternity. Therefore already a saying exists on earth, that you are bound in your evils all the days of your life. But before the days of the earth world are ending, before that you will have to witness the annihilation of your beloved sons and daughters who, because of your infamous actions and your unrighteousness, you are not allowed to own, but whom, due to your own guilt, you yourself murder and annihilate through war and pestilence and robbing and all evils. Your petitions for mercy about them will not be heard by your false priests and gods and idols, and they will also not be granted by the authorities and scholars and army leaders, because you will raise and elect them yourself to butcher your sons and daughters, and also yourself. You will weep and implore and whine like young dogs, when annihilation cometh often and often up into the most distant future, and you will not be allowed to take a word of solace or of the teaching into your mouth from the Scripture, which I have written, but so it will also be with the teachings, which I will bring to you during other times in the future through other prophets, if you do not change your life according to the laws and commandments of creation. And thus in a vision has appeared to me. Clouds invited me and covered me with fog, and the course of the stars and the lightning urged and drove me, and also the winds gave me wings and carried me away. They took me up and brought me close to a wall, which was constructed of many shining crystal stones and was surrounded by a wall of fire, which caused me fear. But in my vision I stepped into the wall of fire and approached a house, which also was constructed of shining crystal stones. The walls of the house were smooth like a floor, but they were also constructed of crystal stones, as also the floor. The ceiling resembled the course of the stars and lightning, and in between hovered fiery comets, and behind them was their sky, purest water. Flaming fire flowed around the walls of the house, and the door also was a burning fire. And yet I entered the house, which was like hot fire, and yet as cold as ice, and in which was nothing delightful, and also no life. Fear covered me, and also terror gripped me, and I was also shaking and trembled and fell on my face, and soon I had another vision. And in the vision I saw another house, which was larger than the first. And at the second house all doors stood open before me, and it was constructed of pure fiery flames. But this house was extravagant in size and magnificence and splendor, the like of which I have never seen before, so that I cannot describe the full size and magnificence and splendor. The floor of the house was undulating in fire, and also the ceiling was aflame, yet above the house was lightning in the courses of the stars. And as I looked up I saw a throne in the house, and its appearance was like white frost, and around it everything was like shining suns, glittering stars, and fiery comets. And under the exalted throne flowed forth streams of blazing fire, and everything was so dazzling bright that it was impossible to look at everything longer than a tiny moment. And on the throne it sat, which is great in love and glory, and it was not enveloped in any form, and it was also without time. It was spirit in all its glory, and it rayed into being of the eternal and eternal. Its robe was more dazzling and brighter than the sun, and whiter than the white hail. No form of life could enter here. Neither could a mortal see the shape and the countenance of the glorious and majestic one, and if I had not seen it myself in a vision, to me also the view of it would have remained eternally hidden. And human beings could not enter unto it, and not the sons and daughters of the heavens, also not the Ishvish, to whom also this secret of all secrets was hidden. Thus only to me was revealed the glory of this secret, and this will also remain so eternally for the mortals. But the immortals could enter in, who were freed from the bodies of mortality, and who were pure spirit form and blazing flaming fire like the glory of creation itself. But the immortals could only approach creation up to 30 ells, and nobody could approach closer of all those who were around the glory. But 10,000 times 10,000, 10,000 times 10,000 were around the glory of creation, and all those were themselves flaming fire, and the holy ones and wise ones of time. And they are likewise called Patali. The glory of creation required not the counsel of the holy and wise ones, but they were Patali, and therefore the wise and holy ones and the advisers of time. And the Patali were near the glory of creation, and did not leave by day and not by night, and they also never left. And until then I have had a veil over my countenance, so I could see everything. Yet I trembled, because I could not come to know all the glory, and also not understand. Yet the seeing was revealed to me. But the glory of creation called me, and I heard its call within me, without having heard a sound with my ears. And the glory spoke unto me.
Henok, hear my holy words, but also come here close to me.
And the glory of creation let me stand up and go hither close before it, while I lowered my countenance, for awe welled up within me, and the blinding light of grandeur blinded me. And I heard the words of the glory within me, which spoke unto me.
Henok, do not be afraid, for you are a righteous man, and as such the writer and proclaimer of justice.
But thus the glory spoke further and laid upon me, that I was sent through its will and my will unto you mankind, that you may be taught by me, Henok, the proclaimer and prophet.
But listen.
For so the glory of creation spoke unto me.
Go to the sons and daughters of the heavens and to the human beings of earth, and teach them that they shall pray to themselves and for themselves, but that they shall not pray to petition idols and gods. Therefore also not to objects, and not to priests and other human beings, except to themselves or to their spirit, and also to me. For I am creation and the spirit of being. And ask them.
I heard the words of the glory.
Ask them, the human beings of earth and the sons and daughters of the heavens, why have you left the way of the high, holy, eternal justice? And why do you commit whoredom with women and men? And why have you defiled yourselves with all offenses, disgraces and evils of law-breaking and commandment-breaking and order-breaking? Why have you burdened yourself with all evils, while you were yet spiritually hallowed and had a long life, which was longer than 1,000 years, but which you have defiled and destroyed through all your evils, so now fewer than 40 years remain to you for a life? Therefore, in the future, your lifespan will be very short for many thousands of years, and only few will exist who survive 2 generations. But a change will come, when a part of the generations of man of earth changeth and turneth toward the truth, which will be at the time of the prophet of the new age, when the lifespan will rise through the life conduct of the righteous in obedience of truth. So your age will reach a value in the middle of 3 generations of men, which is 3 parts of 4 parts of 100 years. but the lifespan will continue to increase, if the righteous ones will not decrease, but increase. But your age in the middle value does not outlast 2 generations. For through your unrighteousness and all your offenses, evils, and disgraces, you have abandoned the truth so far that you have shortened your years of life to a small part of the whole. You have lusted for the blood of your neighbors and murdered them, and you also have lusted for the flesh of your neighbors, and committed whoredom with them, and also brought forth children, who inherited from you the rapid mortality and transitoriness, so they transmit the same to their descendants. You also have created and lived all unrighteousness, all foolishness and stupidity and evils, offenses and loss, which weigh heavy upon you and always strike you again, because every one of your evil thoughts joineth all other evil thoughts of yours and of the neighbors. So they become a powerful force, which continueth to live and always striketh you by day and by night. The power of evil thoughts, however, hovers like a mighty invisible sky around the world and in your cult places, from where every moment you are struck by the evil forces of this power. But, in your misunderstanding, you call these evil forces, created by yourself, and according to your erroneous belief, evil spirits and demons. Therefore you call your own evil thoughts evil spirits and evil demons, which are foundation stones to you for new evil thoughts and deeds. Verily, the thoughts of you human beings have their residence within yourself, but they also have their residence in the invisible sky around the world, and they also have their residence wherever you live, or where you often conduct your truthful or false prayers. But only good thoughts or evil thoughts live at one place, and as a human being cometh to a place of good thoughts, the energies of good come to him. But if a human being cometh to a place where there are evil thoughts, the energy of evil befalleth him. As this is so in all of your cult places, in which you pray to gods and call upon idols, so that at such a place malice and severe confusion befalleth you, from which you are not able to free yourself. A thought is like a mighty invisible energy, which liveth many thousands of years and storeth itself like the grain in the granary. And likewise, as man fetcheth grain from his granary and nourisheth himself, man continuously fetcheth from the stored thoughts of power new energies of good or evil, with which his own thoughts are nourished in good or in evil. And all those, on whom crash down thought energies of evil, will continue to corrupt, for they are those who deny the truth and practice violence and cause destruction on earth, and who cause disaster, but who therefore will have lack of food and will have to suffer from thirst. Their misery will be great, and they will find no mercy, for they will be struck and punished through their own unrighteousness. Verily, the power of evil is very great, which is stored everywhere, in places which you call houses of God, and wherever else you conduct your cults. And at these places manifold deaths lie in waiting for you, wherever they are, so that your thinking and striving and acting and also your flesh is corrupted. But therefore, you will corrupt at these places and by all stored evil forces everywhere until the day when you let the great judgment fall over you before you become righteous ones. But if you die as unrighteous ones, then your flesh falleth into decay. But while your evil character storeth itself in the invisible skies around the earth as powerful force. But if you art born again and standest in a new incarnation, then again you will be befallen by your old evil character, which lasteth throughout endless times in the invisible skies around the earth, which strikes you like poisoned arrows of evil. But the poison of the arrows poisons you more and more, and you do not try to remove the poison from yourself. Therefore, you demoralize us further, and determinest in advance for many reincarnations, that you will be struck by your own poisoned arrows of evil. But if you change to righteous ones, then you begin to fight against the evil. But therefore, you create a harness against your own poisoned arrows, which rain down on you from the invisible skies of evil around the earth, where they are stored for thousands of years, so they do not strike you with full force anymore, and slowly lose their force of evil. And if you art steadfast and, in your change, defendest yourself against the evils of your own making, and those of your neighbor, then your harness groweth, so you have a mighty protection therein. Verily, you human beings of earth were corrupted at early times by sons and daughters of the heavens, although then the hidden things of the laws and commandments of creation were not revealed to you yet. But nevertheless, you became guilty of all evils and of all unrighteousness, by which you have made yourselves to burdened ones. Small and meaningless secrets were betrayed to you by the guilty sons and daughters of the heavens, and you willingly accepted them and made them your own, without feeling guilty and without defense, as you were only too willing. In your hardening of heart you made the meaningless secrets your own, and also taught them to your children. So since then you have caused much evil on the earth, and have no peace and no love, but also no truth, knowledge and wisdom, and this likewise among the women and men, and among the children.
So then, the glory of creation spoke to me that I instruct mankind of earth about it, before it breathed me away to another place, where again were shapes like flaming fire, and who appeared like human beings, whenever they desired this by their thoughts. And these shapes like flaming fire were similar to the shapes of Patah Li in their appearance, but their changeability was greatly dissimilar and only their very own, which were called as Arahat Athersata. And the flaming shapes Arahat Athersata led me to the place of the storm on the summit of a mountain, the pinnacle of which reached high into the sky. And on the summit of the mountain, a flaming shape of the Arahat Athersata stepped close to me and changed into a human being and said,
See, I am Urjo, one of the Arahat Athersata. Like the Patali, we are a form of unity, and also singular as ourselves. But we are we, like the Patali, who are higher in everything than we. Verily, Henok, you are astonished that you are with us, but soon you will understand that you do not need to be astonished. I am Urgel from the we spirit forms of Arahat Athersata, and like the Patah Li, our existence of solid bodies has ended, and we live in the being of a world unknown to man. But man liveth in a world which lieth quiet deep below ours, in which the time of our being has become existence in the great ocean of duration. Our being has become knowledge and truth and love, and also to energy and power in the obedience of the laws and commandments within and about creation. In the endless duration, the spirit has freed itself from the body and reincarnation has vanished into the past. Our life has become creation approximate, forceful and powerful, in striving completion of perfection. We, Arahat Athersata, are the beholders of time, and we are the recognizers of truth of all things in their source and in their consequences. The boundaries between the human world and our world are of great duration, and they are measured in many million years times million years, and therefore, they constitute the barriers of the spiritual worlds. We know the communication in the spaceless and timeless realm, which maketh the past and the future present to us. And this shall be said unto you, what you seest and hearest is given to no other human being except you. Therefore it is also inaccessible to an Ish-Vish, only to you at all times when you breathe at a time or at another time as prophet of the highest standing. But therefore, you now shall see and hear things, which will also be strange for you to understand, and the secrets thereof you will only solve in the distant future, when 7,000 years have passed over the earth. But as the seen and heard will remain a secret to you for 7,000 years, it will thus remain a secret for the human beings for a much longer time, before they will grasp the secret of our signs, which we let you see and hear. Therefore, Henok, do not be depressed, if at this time, you do not understand our signs to the full extent. but be glad if you grasp a portion, and by in further incarnations more and more. Therefore listen carefully and see what we, the observers of time, have to announce and to reveal to you.
Thus spoke Urgel, the flaming one and one of the Arahat Athersata, so that I saw and heard the secrets of the past and the future. And I saw places in dazzling light, and I heard thunder at the ends thereof. In the depths of heaven above, I saw a quiver with arrows and a mighty fiery arch, which stretched from the rising of the sun unto its setting. But in the same depth hovered a mighty fiery sword, and all the lightning of earth flashed round about. Then Urgel, the flaming one, took me away, and he brought me to the waters of life, and up to the fire of the west, which burns in the sky at every setting of the sun. And I came with Urgel, the flaming one, to a fiery stream, the fire of which, however, was like water, and which towards the west poureth forth into a great ocean. And I also saw all other great streams, which, like the first, all poured forth into the ocean. And then I reached a world with Urgel, which is darkness and light at the same time, and which is the world in which the mortals walk during death, and from which they return again into incarnation after a long time. But Urgel led me into the world where the mortals walk during death for a long time, and the time suddenly was gone, and timelessness prevailed in endless duration. And my body had vanished from me, and also everything which was human, and also my feeling was only a perception in love and calm and peace. And I was aware that I was Henok, and yet not Henok, for I was Henok, and yet was one with all the mortals who walked in this world for a long time. But this world was like the earth, which is in darkness and in light at the same time, yet the earth was different and another world, for it was the world and the life of reincarnating ones in their coarse manner. But they did not see the world of the changing mortals, and also the world of the changing mortals was so that they did not see the world of the coarse type. But the one world was the other world, and yet both worlds were two other worlds and different from each other. And also the world of the coarse type was impressed by time, but the world of the changing mortals was of timeless duration. But so Urgel led me out again from the world of the changing mortals. And thus I again felt my body and everything that was human of me, and an evil grief and fear befell me, and I felt pain in my breast that I had to leave this world of the fine type. But the grief remained in me, and never left me again, for the perception of joy and calm and love did not cease to glimmer within me, which had filled me in the other world. And Urgel took me further, and I saw the mountains of black clouds of winter time, and the places into which the waters of all the depths discharge themselves. And I also saw the estuary of all streams of earth, and the estuary of all depths of the universe. And Urgel, the flaming one, who was one of the Arahat Athersata, showed me the containers of all winds, and also I saw how creation has wisely adorned everything. And I saw the foundation of the universe, and also the cornerstone of the earth, and the 7 invisible winds, which carry the earth and the firmament of heaven. And I saw how 7 other winds span the heights and the depths of the heavens, and how they wind and float between heavens and earth worlds and suns, and how they are the 7 pillars of the universe. Also I saw the winds which turn the heavens, which evoke the circling of the sun around itself, and which let the constellations circle their courses around suns and cause stars to go down. But then I saw that the winds were no winds, because every wind was energy of a certain law, and therefore energy like the swinging of a stone, which by a sling flieth infinitely far. But also the energy was likewise the energy of earth, on which every stone falleth back, which is thrown quite high with a sling. But also I saw the true winds, which are perceptible, and which move the dust and whirl up in the air. And likewise I saw them above the earth, how they carry and drift the clouds. Thus I was at the end of the earth, and saw that the end was not the end, because the end went further and further, and it also rounded itself almost to a sphere. And as I was outside of the solid of earth, the world floated in the lightness of heaven, and like a sphere in the air. And Urgel penetrated a strange world with me, of which the like I had never seen before. We went to the south, where a great fire burneth from heaven day and night, and where 7 mountains of most precious stone are, 3 which lay towards the east, and 3 towards the south, and 1 in the middle. But the mountains which lay towards the east were different. One of them was of multicolored precious stones, one of pearl stones, and one of spear glass. But the mountains towards the south were of a different type. For one was of red stones, the middle one reached into heaven and was of alabaster, and the third also reached into heaven and was of sapphire. But in all mountains was a flaming fire by which the mountains shone and played in the light. But far from the mountains and on the other side of the great land was a place where all the waters gathered, and there also was a deep abyss in the earth with pillars of heavenly fire. But under the fires, pillars of heavenly fire fell down, which one could neither count in direction upward or downward. But above the abyss was a place, which had no heavens above it, and also no firmament and no foundation of earth beneath it. And also there were no waters at the place, and no birds, but everything was deserted and empty, for it was an empty and desolate place. It was terrible what I saw there, for there were 7 stars, like huge burning mountains, and like evil spirits having become visible, who implored me for mercy and intercession. And Urgel spoke unto me.
This is the place where heaven and earth end, and this place serveth the stars of the heavens and all wise ones of the heavens as place of instruction. This likewise is the place here, at which all laws and commandments of creation and its 7-fold order reveal themselves since its very beginning. But here also arrive all thoughts and all feelings of all human beings of good as well as of evil. And from this place they rise into infinity if they are good. But if they are evil, then right away they dissipate into nothing, so that the end of all days is only full of peace and of love and eternity. But the end of all days will be the judgment of all judgments, and all life which at that time still walketh in unrighteousness, causeth itself to vanish and to be extinguished for all eternity. But the life which at the end of all days liveth in righteousness, entereth into creation itself to become one with it, and to live in all great timeliness.
And truly I, Henok, alone have seen the view of all this truth and received the instructions thereto. I, Henok, saw all the beginning and ends of everything, and no human being, except me, has seen them as I have seen them. And Urgel taught me that there are 7 flaming energies of the Arahat Athersata, who watch over everything in the universe jointly with the entire Arahat Athersata. But the 7 are the proclaimers and instructors and uniters to the true wise ones of all worlds, who are lower than their world. But one of these watchers is Urgel, and he watcheth over all thunder and all quaking, over the lightnings and weather and seasons, and over all energies which are in all things. And the second watcher, therefore, is Raphael, who watcheth over all forms of spirit of man, of animals, of plants of all types, of the stars, and everything which liveth, creepeth, and flieth. And the third watcher, therefore, is Ragel, who watcheth over everything which liveth against the laws and commandments of creation, and against the 7-fold order. And the fourth watcher, therefore, is Michael, who watcheth over everything which liveth according to the laws and commandments of creation, and according to the 7-fold order. And the 5th watcher, therefore, is Sarachel, who watcheth over the instructions and the progress of the forms of spirit of man and animals and of everything which creepeth and flieth. And the sixth watcher, therefore, is Gabriel, who watcheth over all worlds of the low and high forms, and who watcheth over all boundaries of all different worlds. And the seventh watcher, therefore, is Cherubel, who watcheth over all remainders of life, which is presented by man and animals and stars and plants and energies, and everything which liveth and creepeth and flieth in the entire universe. And the wee form of Arahat Athersata jointly watch in all tasks of the seven watchers, and therefore they are one with them and in all things. And Urgel led me to a different place where nothing happened, and there I saw something terrible. There was no firmly based earth, and there also existed no high sky, and everything was empty, desolate space, quite august and terrible. And in the august space, bound together, 7 gigantic spheres of wobbly energy floated like great mountains and flaming like dark fire. This time I asked Urgel Cullen,
Due to which cause of malice are these spheres of flaming dark fire power-bound, and why are they expelled to this august and terrible space?
Then Urgel, my leader, the Flaming One, said to me,
Why do you search with me about these things, and why do you inquire and ask and are curious? But therefore, listen, these are the 7 different powers of evil of all human beings, who have transgressed against the laws and commandments and against the 7-fold order of creation, and they are those who are degenerated in their energies. These powers have quite mightily stored themselves for all times in the universe, while the guilty human beings, meantime, have become righteous ones or are in the change toward righteousness. But their evil energies, which originated through thoughts and pondering and striving and acting, are not changeable and full of danger, because they attack every life and force it into their ban. Therefore, these energies of evil and degeneration must be captured by the power of this place, so they are bound here unto the end of all days. When they are then taken to the place of the end of the earth worlds in the heavens, to their last judgment of all judgments, where their extermination will be. And as the degenerated evil is held here unto the end of all days, so it also is not dangerous to life.
And from there, Urgel, the Flaming one of the Arahat Athersata, floated off into the expanse of the universe with me. But in deep space, he brought me to a high place which had none of terribleness, but which was great like a glaring fire, which flamed and blazed and had incisions like flaming tongues. The space was limited only by the high area of space, and the place floated therein like an island in a boundless ocean. But from the depths of space, round about came flaming small fire pillars, and let themselves fall into the glaring fiery place. The expanse of the place and its size, however, I could not see, neither was I able to grasp the origin thereof. Then I said to Urgel, how exalted this place is, and what joy and reverence to view it. Then Urgel answered me,
Henok, you feel no fear and no terror in you about this exalted place and in the view of this joy. This is a place like many others in the expansive universe, which are all of the same type and of good form. This place is a mighty block of energy, and this energy is knowledge, wisdom, truth, love, logical consequence, and everything which is good. At this place, all knowledge and all wisdom, love, and logical consequence and truth of all forms of life are gathered and stored, like in a granary all gathered grain is stored. Therefore, this place is a mighty storage block, which stores everything within that is recognized and acquired of knowledge or is created in some other place. So here, from the very beginning, everything is stored which has been found of knowledge of every type. This place is a storage block of all wisdom and accessible to every wise one, who is human or spirit form, if he, through spiritual energy, useth a secret word as key, through which the door of the block openeth to him, so he can enter in and obtain knowledge. But truly the wise one only sparingly obtaineth knowledge from here, if he is truthfully in need thereof, so that he doth not rob, but only meets his need. But it is also provided that the block of wisdom only releases knowledge to every wise one which lies in the comprehension of the wise, that he is not overburdened in his understanding, so that he does not become insane and confused in his mind and in his consciousness.
From here I went to another place with Urgil, but now the other watchers of the Arahat Athersata joined us thus: Ruphael, Ragel, Gabriel, Kerubel, Mikel, and Sarakel. And in the west they showed me a great high mountain, which was of quite hard rock, and where were 7 wonderful places. But under the hard rocks, down in the depths, were expanses which were like something smoothed, which rolls, and I recognized it as alive, something which liveth. Therefore I asked about this place, and this time Ruphael, one of the flaming ones of the Arahat Athersata, answered,
These 7 beautiful places are the 7 worlds of the realm of death, which by man is called the other side. At these places the spirit forms gather, when through death they escape from the coarse body. Thus they gather here at these 7 places, each at one place or another, depending on and determined by the level of fineness of the spirit, which each generateth and formeth depending on wisdom. And the 7 beautiful places are 7 different worlds, and they, therefore, are the 7 worlds of the fine realms of death, which, at the same time, exist on every coarse world, however, separated by the boundaries of the fine and the coarse matter. Therefore, these worlds which you see as beautiful places are created, so that their all spirit forms of mankind gather when they escape from the coarse bodies through dying. These places, therefore, are made as living places for the spirit forms of mankind, when they escape from the coarse life and enter into the fine life of death. And the spirit forms remain at these places for a certain time, which followeth a cycle, and is only duration in which each spirit form develops further in knowledge and in the development of its energy, before they again leave this place and are born anew into a coarse human body in reincarnation.
And Urgil took me away from this place, and to a distant wasteland, over which was only darkness, and round about everything full of wailing. But in the wide and terrible plain of the place hovered shadows, from whom emanated the wailing which echoed into the darkness of heaven, and therefore I asked for the purpose of this horror. Now Ragel answered and also said to me,
This is the horrible place where all the wailings of those human beings gather who are murdered by the likes of them. Here, therefore, resound all the wailings of the murdered and tormented and tortured ones, because at this place all the wailings of mankind gather which are caused by unrighteousness. But here also every wailing resounds for a long time, and as long until sometime the kernel and the seed of the cause in the evildoers among mankind has disappeared, while here, in horror, the wailings are heard. And the shadows which hover are single wailings in restlessness, and no shadow can bind itself to another. For they are separated among each other, because every wailing is its own cry of horror of an evil, which hath been committed each to a human being by his own kind. Therefore the wailings are separated from among each other, but which also again are partitioned in different areas at this place, of which again are 7. So here can be heard the wailings of mankind, who are murdered and tormented and tortured by the likes of them, and here also they reveal their pain and their ruin, until the infamous action has been atoned by the guilty. But the wailings resound here for the reason that the guilty originators find no rest, and are constantly reminded of their infamous actions, so that they feel guilty, and therefore strive to change to righteousness. But truthfully, these 7 locations of this place are 7 invisible heavens around the earth, and therefore around all earth worlds, from which the human being in every new life is reminded of his deeds.
And I, Henok, praise the glory of creation for its justice which hath created everything, and which leadeth all life to being in all great time. From there I went with the watchers, the flaming ones, to another place towards the west, further unto the ends of the earth and the heavens. Then I saw a quite brightly burning fire, which restlessly ran and never ceased from its course, neither by day nor by night. But I asked while I said, What is this here which findeth no rest? And this time Carobel, the flaming watcher of the Arahat Athersata, answered me,
This burning fire, the constant movement which you see towards the west, is the fire of the energy of all constellations of the heavens.
From there the flaming watchers brought me to another place, and they also showed me a mountain of fire which blazes day and night. And I went closer to the mountain and recognized that, truthfully, there were 7 magnificent mountains, and every one different from the other. And the mountains consisted of magnificent and precious and most beautiful stones, and everything was quite magnificent, and of glorious appearance, and of beautiful and wonderful exterior. 3 of the mountains sat toward the east, one strung behind the other, and also 3 sat toward the south, and also one strung behind the other, and like the others, one was higher than the others. But in between the mountains were deep windings valleys, of which none was connected to another. But the 7th mountain sat in the middle between the 6 others, and on all their summits they resembled a throne seat of creation at a lofty height, surrounded by fragrant trees. But among them was a tree, as I had never seen before, and also had never smelled before. The fragrance of this tree was not equal to any other fragrance, and its leaves and its blossoms and its wood never withered throughout eternity. Therefore the fruit also did not wither throughout eternity, and besides was of great beauty, and which compareth to the cluster of a palm tree. This time I said, Look at this beautiful tree. It is wonderful to behold and lovely, and its leaves and branches and its fruit are delightful to the eye. Then Michael, the flaming one, answered me,
Henok, why do you ask me about the fragrance and about everything of this tree? And what do you try to learn with secretly hidden words? For know that we know your great knowledge, and also the secretly hidden inquiry in your questions.
Then I, Henok, answered him and said, About everything I like to learn something, but especially about this tree, for it appeareth to me that it concealeth a great secret which also concerneth me. And Michael answered me while he said,
You are great in knowledge and also trained in wisdom and truthful. Listen, Henok, this high mountain, which you see, and the pinnacle of which compares to the throne of creation, is the dwelling place of the glory of creation, from which all laws and commandments and the sevenfold order thus come down to all worlds and mankind, and also to everything which creepeth and flieth everywhere. But the tree, about which you inquire, which is of such exquisite fragrance, is holy and exalted. Therefore, it is not allowed any mortal to touch it until the time of the end of all days, at which the justice will be completed, and the eternity of life unto being. Only at the end of all time of the days will be given to the righteous of the fruit of the tree. So thereby they obtain the life of all timeliness. But you, Enoch, you are a mortal immortal, and therefore highest Ishwish of all Ishwish among all of mankind of the universe, as all Ishwish and leaders honor you, while you force yourself into a human body as prophet and suffer in evil torment. You are the highest among the leaders, and give yourself as the lowest, for which you suffer torment and yet dost not complain. Yet at this place shall help be bestowed upon you, that you survivest all times and all torment. It shall then be accomplished here that you enjoy the fruit of this tree at this holy place, so that you become the eternal temple of love and all fulfillment. Therefore, take this fruit here and eat it.
And Michal handed me a grape-like cluster, and I ate it, which tasted quite exquisitely, and filled me with joy and love, and with the understanding of many secrets. But therefore I cannot explain how everything happened to me, for that very moment I saw infinity which I could yet not see with my eyes. And I heard Michal, who said to me,
Henok, now you have eaten of the fruit of the tree, and therefore you will be strong throughout all time and be a temple of truth. Into the most distant future, you will willingly carry the fruit of truth and bring the great teaching of the word of truth to mankind. And in the distant future, you will create a new holy place and also plant the fruit of truth high in the north of the earth, when the new age hath come and the time of the great instruction. The place will be the place of truth and the place of instruction, but also a temple of understanding and of love. But many incarnations you will still live until then, and often you will experience evil misery and torment, yet despair will not be yours. But the new age will not be of great difference in misery and torment, but also will be allotted that among many of mankind of earth, exalted joy will awaken, and rejoicing in the recognition of truth, so that they recognize the holiness of truth and of creation and of yourself. And the scholars among mankind of earth will allow the fragrance of truthful holiness to penetrate into their bones and slowly change everything. That in the coming days they will live a long life on the earth, as their ancient ancestors have lived. Therefore, they will learn, and in the later future, truly lead a life that will not touch them any more by sadness and suffering and trouble and toil. But also there will be no more need and misery and unrighteousness. Verily, so it will be. But before this happeneth, a very long time after the new age, still much torment and offense and unrighteousness and disgrace will exist among mankind of earth.
and as I, Henok, heard the speech of the Flaming one of the watchers of Arahat Athersata, I was quiet in reverence and modesty, yet then I praised the glory of creation, that it hath prepared everything so well for the righteous human beings. But also I praise creation, which hath created everything, and created love in infinity, and also justice and life, which is according to its laws and commandments, and according to its sevenfold order in truthfulness. And from there I went with the flaming watcher to the center of the earth, and soon I saw a blessed and fruitful place, where there were many branches, which rooted and sprouted from a felled tree. But there also was a holy mountain, and to the east thereof, underneath the mountain, was a water which flowed toward the south. But toward the east was another mountain of equal height as the first, and between the two mountains was a deep valley, but which was not wide, and in the valley a water also ran along the mountain. And toward the west of this mountain was another mountain, lower than the two others, and therefore not high. But here also was a valley, but which was not wide, and therein also flowed a water along the mountain. But there were three other deep and dry valleys at the end of all three mountains, and in them flowed no water. And all valleys were deep, but not wide, and of hard boulders. And there were trees planted on the mountains and in the fertile valleys, which prospered and bore sublime fruit. And everything was exalted and beautiful and like a paradise, except for the deep and dry valleys, which were of smooth and hard rocks. and I was curious about the rocks, and I was also curious about the horrors of the rocks, and I was quite curious about everything. Then I said, "What is this blessed land for, which is totally filled with fruit-bearing trees and is like a paradise, and what is the accursed land of the valley for behind it?" Then one of the Arahat Athersata, Sarakel, the flaming one, answered me,
These accursed valleys are for the creation slanderers among mankind, and here also the energies of their evil slandering thoughts and slandering speeches gather. Here, therefore, all slander energies have to gather and wait in accursedness so long until the guilty ones change to righteousness and until they ban their unseemly speeches against creation from their mouth. And therefore they remain here for a long time until the guilty ones rid themselves of their shamelessness toward the glory of creation. And in one valley of the horrors and accursedness, the energies of the slanderers gather, which are the creation deniers and also the atheists. But in the second valley of horrors and accursedness, the energies of the slanderers gather, who are sectarians and gods worshippers and other human worshippers. And in the third valley of horrors and accursedness, the energies of the slanderers gather, who are idolaters and the autocratic. And therefore they will all remain here until the guilty change to become righteous ones, so that through truth they find mercy and praise the glory of creation. And they remain here as long as they themselves have determined this by their own lot, as they have imparted this unto themselves. Truthfully, these valleys of horror and accursedness are 3 invisible heavens around the earth, where the energies of the slanderers gather and remain for a long time, until the guilty ones change to truth and righteousness, as the energies then disappear in dissipation. But while the energies of the slanderers remain in the invisible heavens above the earth, they are powerful and evil, and they also strike the guilty in every life and incarnation like poisonous arrows.
Therefore I praised the glory of creation and spoke to it in prayer, and I also remembered its greatness as it is seemly. But from there I went with the flaming watchers of the Arahat Athersata to another place, far away from the desolate valleys, approaching a mountain range in the east. There I saw trees which were called judgment trees, and there were especially such which give off incense fragrance and myrrh fragrance, and therefore they were not like ordinary trees. Over the mountain of the east, high above it and not far therefrom, I saw another place, but therein were valleys and with water like that which never dries up. And there I saw a beautiful tree, the fragrance of which was like the fragrance of mastic. And on the sides of the valleys, towards the end of the valleys, I saw grown fine-smelling cinnamon. Then I went up these valleys closer towards the east. And I saw another mountain, overgrown with trees, from which flowed water, but which was something like nectar, and which one calls sarisa and galbanum. And beyond that mountain I saw another mountain, whereupon aloe trees grew, which were full of a hard, almond-like matter. And if one took the fruit of the tree and ate it, it tasted better than all fine fragrances. And after I had eaten of the fruit of the best fragrances, I gazed towards the north over all mountains. Forthwith I saw 7 mountains, and they were full of delicious spikenard plants and fragrant trees, but there was also much of cinnamon and pepper. And I went further to the 7 mountains, and forthwith I stepped across their summit, far towards the east, and in accompaniment of the flaming watchers of the Arahat Athersata, who did not leave my side. And we moved further towards the east, far over the Erythaic Sea, high over the place, Zutwell, unto the 2-stream land near Uruk-Gart, in the kingdom of Gilgamesh. But there the watchers led me back in time and into the garden of righteousness, where I discovered an abundance of multicolored trees and plants and flowers. and quite many trees and plants and flowers were there, large and small ones which grow there, fragrant, very lovely and magnificent. But also I saw there the tree of wisdom covered with large and sweet and delicious fruit, which teach great wisdom to those human beings who eat thereof. And the tree of wisdom resembleth the carob tree, and its fruit, like the grape, is very good. But the fragrance of the tree infatuateth and spreadeth far away, and therefore I said,
Quite lovely is this tree, and how lovely and delightful its view and fragrant its fruit.
And the flaming watcher Raphael answered and said to me,
See, Henok, this is the tree of wisdom from which your ancestors already have eaten, so that they found recognition of wisdom and they opened their eyes. The tree of this type, however, standeth only here and once on the earth, as it groweth nowhere else at another place. But it is also not a creature of earth, but a stranger here on this world, for it has been brought here from far away, from a distant world in the universe, and therefore been planted here by the sons and daughters of the heavens, to give wisdom unto the human beings, and to give life unto the human beings, and to give being unto the human beings. And the tree liveth in beauty and splendor, and beareth fruit for 700 years, after which it drieth up and dieth without fertile seeds, because it is one-gendered and findeth no fertilization by its own kind, therefore it hath no offspring. Truly, therefore, this is the tree of wisdom and the tree of life in the garden of righteousness, the secret of which, however, mankind on earth does not know, but while they call it the tree of life in paradise. But the secret of the tree of wisdom is that its fruit concealeth a substance, which expandeth the consciousness of man when he eateth thereof, so he attaineth to great understanding of wisdom, as it is like with various plants of the earth. But this here is likewise the garden of righteousness, where Adam and his wife were procreated, and from which emanated all evil of mankind of earth due to the sons and daughters of the heavens, who got together with the earthly mankind and procreated with them malicious giants. Therefore, they were all driven away from this place.
From there we again went to other ends of the earth, which were places where large animals lived, each different from the other and wondrous. But there were also birds, which were manifold in their shape and in their beauty and voice, and also everyone was different from the other. And there were also birds with magnificent multicolored feathers, and they had curved beaks, as otherwise only vultures have this, which are the hawk and eagle and the owls and falcons. Yet forthwith we left these places, where also gigantic animals lived, which were often larger than the largest elephants, and which were quite as large as the whales in the ocean. But while these giant animals lived on land and in virgin forest in small numbers. And we went far towards the east into the depths of space, close to the ends of the worlds and constellations, where heaven doth not rest and constantly expandeth. And I saw how from the immeasurable expanse of the shining expansion, the constellations of heaven come forth. And I counted the radiating doors from which the constellations and fires issue forth and rotate and become firm, so that one can walk on them after a very long time, when the heat embers have cooled. But also, Urgel wrote down for me all the exits of them, of every single one especially, exactly according to their numbers, their names and their connection, their position, their time, and their months and days, as he showed them to me. Urgel showed me everything, but he also wrote down everything for me, also all laws and commandments and the order, and also the orbits of the constellations, and their life, and their performances. From there we went towards the north in space, and also to the end of the worlds, and there I saw a great and magnificent wonder at the ends of the universe. Here I saw 3 open doors of heaven in space, which were like dark velvet, and from each door issue forth winds in the northern direction, which meaneth that the winds blow forth from the doors of heaven in the direction toward north, but while they escape toward the south. But these winds were great energies, like those by which all stars circle, but they also were of a different type. For they can be captured by the worlds and cause many events on them, like cold, hoarfrost, hail, snow, dew, rain, and storm, and changes in the feelings and thoughts of man, and also divers other things. Yet from the doors only streameth and bloweth balanced energy. Therefore it is neither evil nor good, but in between. Yet if man absorbeth them within, he maketh it to good or evil. So within him is formed the measure of center or misery or vehemence, depending on the way how man useth the energies. These winds, however, are energies of life, so therefore cosmic life energy, which doth not contain good or evil, but is centered. But this energy is of great power, and powerful toward the good as also toward evil, depending upon how man useth it. From these doors of heaven we went towards the west, to other ends of the worlds, and forthwith I saw there 3 other doors of heaven, like those I saw in the north, and they also had the same exits. From there we went towards the south and other ends of the worlds in the universe, and there again I saw 3 open doors of heaven. Thereupon we went towards the east to the ends of the worlds. And here also were 3 open doors of heaven, from which blew forth the winds like the winds from the doors of the north, and of the west, and of the south. Thus the wind powers of these doors of heaven storm from all sides through the space of the universe. Equally all life in all directions is affected by them without difference. And as I saw everything, I praised creation, and always anew I praised the glory of creation, which hath made all the great and exalted and magnificent wonders. And I praised the glory of creation about its greatness and the greatness of its work, to show the flaming watchers and also mankind, so that they also shall praise the greatness and the works of creation. But also I praised creation, so that all forms of life, as creatures of creation, see the works of its power, and also that they all praise and honor the great works of creation into all eternity. This, therefore, was a vision I had, and forthwith another vision of wisdom followed. And verily I faithfully report what I had seen also in this visions, as I say this, I, Henok, the son of Jared. And this is the beginning of the speech of wisdom of this vision, which I began to speak and to tell to those who live on earth and are mankind of earth, and thus sons and daughters of the heavens. Hear, you old ones, and hear, you descendants, the holy speeches which I will speak in truth before creation. It is the right of the old ones to tell them everything first, yet also from the descendants shall not be withheld the beginning of wisdom. And verily, up to today, has never been imparted so much wisdom to a human being through the flaming watchers of the Arahat Athersata and through the Ptah than I have received after my insight, according to the pleasure of creation, from which hath been imparted unto me the lot of eternal life. And there were given to me in a newly visioned 3 picture speeches, which I began to tell to those who inhabit the solid of the earth. But the first picture speech was this: when the community of the righteous will appear in unity, and when the unrighteous will find their end for their unrighteousness and offenses, and will be driven from the face of the earth, that is the secret of time alone. But it is also a secret of time when the new age will be, at which the righteous one will appear before the eyes of the chosen ones, whose works will be weighed and will appear as light to all those righteous and chosen ones who will live on the earth. But where will be the dwelling place of the unrighteous and the stay of those who have denied all the glory of creation? For quite mighty the truth will begin to undulate, therefore the unrighteous will suffer and lose their life. Truly it were better for the unrighteous to have never been born, for their torment will be great. And when the secrets of the righteous one will be revealed, there will first be ridicule and foolishness and offense and denial and disgrace. Yet forthwith the unrighteous will be judged by their own judgments, so that they suffer and die like flies after their hatching. And therefore the unrighteous drive themselves from the face of the righteous and chosen ones, who change themselves to righteous and chosen ones in determination and understanding. Therefore horror and terror will befall the unrighteous, and from now on they will not be mighty and exalted any more, neither those who own the earth. But the unrighteous will not be able any more to see the countenance of the wise and righteous one and the truly greatest one, who is the wise and the righteous one of all wise and righteous ones, and their highest one also. The light of creation hath appeared to the countenance of the wise and righteous and highest one, and therefore only the righteous and chosen ones will see his countenance. But at that time of the righteous one, mighty kings and national leaders will perish, and also discord in great measure will be on earth. And there will be war quite severe and evil, and annihilation and destruction will be on earth. But forthwith the destinies will be taken over by the hands of the righteous and wise ones, and from then on no unrighteous and guilty one will be able to implore for mercy before justice any more, for their life will be arranged into the laws and commandments of creation, and also into its sevenfold order. But thus will also happen in those days, when chosen and wise human beings will fly down from the high heavens and reveal themselves to mankind of earth in mysterious signs and appearances. But it also will be that a long time thereafter the mysterious is solved, and again other sons and daughters from heaven come, and their seed will unite with the seed of mankind of earth. Truly, this picture speech was given to me, Henok, and in those days of my visions, I also received books of fervor and anger, and books of urgency and of expelling and driving away, in which was written nothing about mercy for the unrighteous, to whom without change toward righteousness, justice will not be imparted. But this also happened at the same time, when a cloud and a storm caught me up from the earth, and brought me to the ends of the heavens. And here I had another vision, in which I saw the dwelling places of the righteous and the encampment of the wise ones. Here my eyes saw their dwelling places and encampments with the flaming watchers, who begged and prayed for mankind. And from all of them righteousness flowed out like water, and also mercy like clay on the earth, and so also from eternity unto eternity. And therefore my eyes saw this place of the righteous, and of justice, and of loyalty, and of wisdom. And I saw how righteousness ruled at the place, and the multitude of the righteous and chosen ones was uncountable, who were adorned with fire splendor. And I saw how their mouth is full of praise, and how their lips praise the glory of creation, and as their righteousness doth not cease. Here I wished to live, and my thinking and striving longed for this place, and also for a dwelling place there. And I recognized the truth and was sad, for here it previously had already been my portion to be and to live in love and wisdom. And yet due to my duty my portion has retreated from here to live among mankind of earth, tormented by an imperfect body of coarseness. And my portion wanted to remain at this place, yet I remembered and parted in torment. And in those days I also praised and exalted the name of creation with blessings and praises, because it hath allotted to me even blessings and glory according to its pleasure. My eyes long contemplated the place, and forever I praised creation while I said, Praise be unto thee, the exalted, and be it praised from the beginning into all eternity. Before it is no ceasing, and it knoweth what it is, before a world is created, and it knoweth the generations of generations who will be. All creation, those who do not sleep, praise thee. Creation, before thy glory stand the righteous and praise, glorify and exalt thee, while they speak, Holy, holy, holy art thou, thou which fillest the forms of life with forms of spirit, so that all life liveth and becometh being. And at this place my eyes saw all those who do not sleep. I also saw them how they stand before creation, and praise it and speak, Be thou praised, creation, and praised be thy name from eternity unto eternity. And I detached myself from this view in great torment, and forthwith my countenance was changed until I could see no more. But when I saw again, I recognized uncountable and incalculable many, who stand before the glory of creation. I saw, and at the four sides of the glory of creation, I noticed four faces, but which were different from those who stood there. And their names I learned from a flaming watcher, who came to me and who revealed their names to me, and also showed me all hidden things. And I heard the voices of those four faces, how they sang praises before the glory of creation. And the first voice praised the glory of creation from eternity unto eternity. And I heard the other voice praise the just and wise one of all just and wise ones, and also all just and chosen ones, who are weighed by the glory of creation. And the third voice I heard pray for all those who live on the earth and truthfully seek and live in the name of the glory of creation. And I heard the fourth voice, how it warded off all energies of the adversaries and did not allow them to step before the glory of creation, to slander those who are righteous ones on earth and live without offense. Thereafter, I asked the watcher of peace, who went with me and showed me everything which is hidden, and spoke to him, Who are these four faces, who I have seen, and whose voices I have heard and written down? And he spoke to me,
This first one is the merciful and long-suffering, the holy Michael. And the second one is he who is set over all diseases and over all wounds of mankind, the holy Rubael. And the third one is he who is set over all energies, the holy Gabriel. And the fourth one is he who is set over all changes and all hopes of those who inherit eternal life, the holy Phanuel. They are the four watchers of the highest power of Pa-Tah-Li, and they also reside at the doors of creation, and are mightier in their power and wisdom than all watchers of the Arahat Atherseta, as they are likewise Michael, Raphael, Raguel, Gabriel, Sarakel, Kerubal, and Urgel.
I, Henok, truly testify, these are the four highest watches of the flaming rays, and the four voices I have heard in those days. And thereafter I saw all the secrets of the heavens, and also how the kingdom of glory is distributed. But I also saw how all actions of mankind are weighed on the scale of justice. There I saw the dwelling places of the righteous and chosen ones, and also the dwelling places of the wise ones, and the dwelling places of the watchers of the flaming fire and the flaming rays. And there my eyes saw how all the unrighteous were driven away from there, who denied the name of the glory of creation. I saw how they were dragged away, and how there is no staying for them, because of the punishment they have placed upon themselves and have not yet atoned for. And also at another place, I saw the secrets of the lightning and the thunder, and also the secrets of the winds and rays and energies, how they are distributed to blow over the earth and to rotate stars, and to bring the changes of the seasons. And I saw from where the waters emerge at their place, and how from there the dry dust of the earth is saturated. And there I also saw closed containers, from where the winds and all energies and rays emerge, and from which they are distributed. And I saw the container of the hail and that of the snow, and I also saw the container of sunlight, the warmth, the cold, and the dew, and of the rain, and of fog, and of clouds. And I saw all containers, which are for all things. And I also saw an invisible cloud which floateth over the earth since prior to eternity, and which consisteth of the tiny forms of spirits of creation, and which by and by enliven the forms of all life. I also saw the containers of the sun and the moon, from which they emerge and whereto they return, and their magnificent return, and how one has superiority over the other, in their firmly determined course. And I also saw how they never exceed their course, add nothing to their course and not eliminate anything thereof, and remain loyal among each other and stay within the oath, as it is given from the very beginning. And first the sun goeth forth and completeth its pathway according to the order of creation, the glory and name of which is mighty from eternity to eternity. And thereafter cometh the visible and the invisible pathway of the moon, as it travelleth the course of its pathway at that place by day and night. And I also saw that the one star gazed at the other, so they stand opposite of each other on two sides of the earth. And the stars also praise and thank the glory of creation, and they do not rest, for their thanking and praising is rest unto them. But the radiating sun maketh many turns for blessings and for misery, and also the moon is light to the righteous ones, and darkness to the unrighteous. And thus all this happeneth in the name of creation, which created a separation between light and darkness, and between blessings and misery, depending on how man is divided within himself, whether he is an unrighteous or righteous one. And no watcher can hinder a human being in his division of good or evil. And also no other power can hinder in this. For man himself is his own advocate in all things, but he is also his own judge and beadle, and also the executor of his own punishment. Wisdom found no place where it should reside, wherefore was given to it a dwelling place in the heavens of the invisible around the worlds in space. And so wisdom cometh from there to reside among mankind if man maketh it his own. But wisdom was first on the earth to reside among mankind, yet it found no dwelling place, therefore wisdom returned to its place, which since then hath been given to it in the heavens of the invisible. But unrighteousness came forth from its containers, which did not seek freedom by itself, but which was broken into its containers by mankind. And unrighteousness found a dwelling place among mankind on earth. Therefore it lived among them and in them, like the rain in the desert and like dew on thirsty land. Therefore unrighteousness found a residence in man, who thirsteth for unrighteousness in wrong life conduct, because he shunneth the effort of righteousness, and ogleth with laziness. And again I saw lightnings and the stars of the heavens, and I heard how creation called all singly by name, in that they heard creation. I also saw how they were weighed with a just scale according to their measures of light, according to the span of their space, and according to the time of their appearance and their course. And I saw how one lightning created another. And I saw the course of all things. And I also saw all watchers of the flaming fire and of the flaming rays, how they keep loyalty among each other, like all constellations. And I asked the watcher, who went with me and showed me everything which was hidden, "What is all this?" But he said unto me,
Well then, a picture of everything has been shown unto you by the power of Spirit, but what you have seen is the wisdom of all things. Bring this wisdom to mankind, and among all their names, and among all righteous ones which live on earth, and who know about the name of the glory of creation unto all eternity.
And I saw many other things. Thus also lightnings, which originate from great power from stars, and rush into space, and disappear, so that nothing remaineth of them, also not the stars from which they emerge. But I also saw the stars rush through space with long tails of dust and rocks, and which glowed when they came into proximity of other stars. Therefore this was the first picture speech which I, Henok, have received.